Hey everyone, this is David, aka Coma 2000. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here with one more of my favorite ADSR envelope generators, and that's Tides from Mutable Instruments, or the tidal modulator as it is called in VCVrack, from Audible Instruments, Mutable Instruments, version 2 here. And this video is based on Omri's amazing tutorial on Tides, so check that out. Here we are just going to have a quick overview of the 3 modes that this module has. It's a very complex module. You can achieve very interesting effects with it. And the first mode is an AD envelope generator, whereas the second mode has a sustain phase as well, and the third mode is an LFO mode, or the cyclic mode. And you can change that with this button here. So you go from green to red for the AR envelope, and you go to yellow for the LFO mode. And I think this would be a great way to lead us to the next episode on favorite modules, on my favorite modules, episode 5, which is coming soon. I'm working on it. A bit late, but better late than never, on LFOs. So let's look at Tides and revise what we've learned about ADSR envelopes, and also a little introduction on LFOs. I'm turning this down a little bit, and actually I'm going to turn it down quite a bit. And first, let me show you what the basic functionality of this module is. So we have a trigger module here by Bogaudio, and if you push the trigger, which is patched into the trigger input here on Tides, and then you can see on the scope what's happening. So I push this, and you can see that the envelope is opening and then it's closing. And it really doesn't matter how long you push this button, it always opens and closes at the same rate. Well, depending on the settings, of course, on the knobs. And we are now using the main output here. And there are other three outputs as well, which depend on what mode you select up here, which ramp mode you select. And what is also important is that if you have the shift knob at the center position, then nothing is happening, because this works as an attenuverter. So if you turn it up, then you reach this peak. If you turn it further up, then you reach a higher peak. And if you turn it to the max, then you can get up to 8 volts. Of course, you can also get to minus 8 volts if you go here to the negative, into the negative direction. Let's turn it up, and let's see what the other controls are doing. The frequency knob controls the rate of the envelope. So if you want to open it and close it faster, then you turn this up. And then if you want it slower, then you turn down the frequency, and it goes up and down. You also have a clock input, which we will look at here below on the other parts of the patch. And then this knob works as a clock divider or multiplier. And just quickly, I will mention the other outputs. The second output is also an AD output, attack decay output, but you can only change the frequency and the slope, and these other 3 buttons are disabled. So let's see what it does. So if I push the trigger and I change the slope, then, well, it's really great because you have all these visualizations here. Then you can see that it goes up slower and then faster down, and you can change it in the other direction as well. And furthermore, so you can have kind of very interesting CV outputs if you change the smoothness. You can see the shape of it here, and also with the shape knob, you can, play around with this and get very interesting results. Now you see why it's called Tides. Of course, if we would trigger it again and again, then it would go up and down automatically. But I wanted to show you this first with this trigger knob. And now let's get to the first patch with the AD envelope mode. And what we have here is that I have Marbles, the random sampler from Mutable Instruments, which is one of my favorite modules, and when we get to samplers, I'm definitely including this. But for now, it suffices to say that this section provides triggers, and this section provides the notes. And I made an ambient patch from scratch with Marbles, so Marbles, Rings and Clouds, you know, the most cliche modules probably for making ambient music, but they are really, really great, so you can achieve fantastic sounds. So check that out if you want to learn about Marbles more for now. But you have this T2 output, which is triggering the clock here. And then let's see, well, it is the clock, it's the clock rate. And then you have the trigger. Where is the trigger coming from? It's coming from the T1 output. So you can actually see on the scope what Tides is doing with this. It is opening and closing the envelope. And what are we doing with that envelope output? Well, here's the output. It's not only going in here, but the purple one, yes, it's going also into Plaits, macro oscillator 2, to control the level of it. And let me turn down the delay effect so you can actually hear it. And let me play around with the knobs a little bit. Maybe we want a quicker attack. And turn down the reverb also a bit. Or you can have a different slope. Let's change the smoothness. And as I said, if you patch this into the second output, let me turn, then these knobs do nothing, as you can see. It's just a standard AD output. And as you can hear without the tides, this is what it sounds like. It sounds much more interesting if you modulate something, in this case the level of the macro oscillator. And then here I have a delay, Chronoblob. We're gonna learn about delays later, but you know, you can change the dry-wet ratio here, and then that goes into Plateau, the reverb, and that produces this sound on channel 1 of the mixer. So now if we go to the second mode, I'm going to turn that on and turn this down. Then the only difference, or the main difference to the AD envelope, is that it actually matters how long you trigger the module, either manually or automatically. So let's see, let's switch here. This is just for visualization, it's not patched into any other module. I'm switching this, the ramp mode, into the red mode, which is the AR envelope. And now if I'm triggering this, I'm pushing this button, zack, then it goes up, but only as long as I push the button. So if I push this button, then it goes up, and it actually stays up until I release it. And then it goes down. Of course, we have now turned these other knobs, so if I go back to the middle everywhere, except for the shift level knob, of course, because we have to open the attenuator. And if you want to learn more about attenuverters, that's in episode 3, the CV modifiers, then you can see that I'm pushing and it stays up as long as I'm pushing this button here, and once I release it now, it goes down. And you can change the same parameters as with the other one, so you can ramp it up slowlier. And that was faster. This is fast, and this is slower. And the frequency knob, let's turn it down. So you can see it now, it goes up slowly. And when I release it, it goes down. Let's go up. And I release it, and it goes down. So it goes up and as long as the gate is open. And so that we can do this automatically and not just by pushing a button, I have here a little section of the patch, which I will save as a, what is it called? Let me see. Selection. So here you can import the selections, and you can also save this as a selection. So let's save this. And I will share it on Patreon, but also, you know, it's part of this patch, so you can just copy paste it. So you click Save Selection As, and then here, I think I have it saved as Gate on Change. And what this part does, this was fun to make, is whenever there is a change in the note, you get a trigger out. So the yellow section here, that as you can see, is basically the notes coming from marbles. Like, let's follow the cables. Let's follow them back. So we are here. These are the notes that are playing actually on channel 1. So let me play channel 1. Let me turn down the... Of course, you get sometimes more notes like of the same pitch because we are triggering it with the T1 output. But here, if I only want to trigger on in case the note is changing, and I'm using this often for the bass line, for example, or if you want to add some hi-hats or percussive sounds, let's actually do it. Let me show you. So you can also hear it then, not just see it. So let's use this hi-hat module here, and then the trigger is coming from this module here from Bogaudio. This is the gate output, and what did I do here? This is not what I wanted. So you have the trigger output coming from here, and I'm turning this down a little bit and patching it in. So you can hear it too, not only see it now, that you get a trigger every time the note is changing, and you can change the length of this trigger. But actually, let's use a different module here. Let's go with Plaits again, as I wanted initially, and change this. You right-click on it, and let's put it into hi-hat mode. And now we use the trigger again, just here. Aha. Now we have what I wanted. And output. Hi-hat, okay. We have to change a couple of things. Okay, now it sounds like a hi-hat. And what I wanted to show you is that these couple of modules here, what they do. And I got this from the VCVrack forum, so I will post a link to that below so you can read up on it a little bit if you want, or try it yourself. What it's doing is that we are feeding in the note from marbles, and then using Mult here. This one is just so that I can easily paste it in, but we are comparing, we're using a comparator, and we'll learn about logic in a future video. That's also one of the 12 episodes I'm planning to make. We are looking at whether, well, this is a bit tricky, but basically there's a little bit of delay here, and then it can check if the node that comes later is different than what came earlier. And if that's the case, so as you can see here, if A is not equal to B, these are the two inputs, then we output a trigger. But the problem with the trigger is that it's sometimes too short. So I use this Bogaudio module to, every time we receive a trigger, we turn it into a gate where we can control how long the gate is open. So it's not only a trigger, but it triggers a gate which we can control how long it's open. You know, now I'm opening it and not much is happening. So if I can make it shorter, you can hear the difference. You can also put this into a different mode. And before I change this sound into something that sounds good, I've actually already done it here on the third row, because we could patch in the watt per octave from, I don't know. Well, I'm using only section 1, but if I actually here I'm using the other one, so we can go. Yeah, let's keep it like this, because the other one is in a lower frequency. I'm going to mute this, and I'm hopefully not confusing you too much. Let's look at this row here, and then you're going to understand why I did this. So let's see, we get the trigger output from here. This is like the main output for this little section that I built. And basically every time the pitch is changing, as I already said it, you get a gate that opens, and this triggers the tidal modulator. And as I said, if we are using it in the AR envelope mode, it actually matters how long this gate is, how long we push the button here manually, or provide the gates automatically with some other module or combination of modules. And now we get the main output of the AR envelope in here, which is coming from Tides in the red mode. And again, it is modulating the level of the macro oscillator. And if I turn down the delay, then you can make out the differences better. I already have the slope changed. But, you know, it's amazing. You can just play around with the knobs and look at the visualization, what is happening, and listen to the sounds and find the setting that you like the most. Or if you want to learn exactly what each knob does, then check out Omri's video. As I said, I like using this for the bass line a lot, so I have this pitch down by 2 octaves. And here you can also play around with the gate length, of course, so you can also see the visualizations when the gate is open and when it's closed. And I have in both cases, the delay to make the sound a bit more interesting, where you can play around with the feedback and the dry wet. And again, it goes into Plateau, a reverb, and that's on channel 2. And now let's look at the third mode of Tides, which is the Cyclic Mode, or the yellow mode. And it is an LFO. I have covered LFOs in my beginner tutorial, so it's a 90-minute vcvrack beginner's tutorial. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And basically what an LFO is, just an oscillator like a VCO. We learned about VCOs. The only difference is that it's much slower. So you go in here, you can see that it's going up, but let me turn up the frequency just a little bit, up and down, up and down. And a VCO would be, you know, really fast, going up really fast and down. And if you go above 20 Hertz, like up and down 20 times second, then you would start hearing some sounds. But here we are using this for whatever we want. We can modulate parameters of other modules. So what shall we modulate is the question. So this is the main output again. Let's modulate the something on Chronoblob. So maybe the dry wet on the first channel. So let's get this output and patch it in to the dry wet input. Here's the output, yes. And obviously nothing is happening because this attenuverter is not open, and all of these modules from Audible Instruments and alrightdevices, for example, and also Plateau from Valley, have a lot of attenuverters built in, which makes building the patch more simple. But you know, if there is no attenuverter, just add the Bogaudio attenuverter or the Audible Instruments Quad VC polarizer, as we've seen in episode 3. But here it's built in, so let's just turn it up. And maybe turn down the rate of the LFO. Okay. Now let's modulate the feedback as well. Let's say with the same one. Up. And now when it's going up, then you can see that the voltage is going up and down again. So we're opening and closing this dry wet knob automatically. But let's start from not 0. And well, maybe it's too much. And yeah, let's play the hi-hat sound, whatever that was. Now it's a we could modulate something here as well. Let's say the morph. Here is the input for the morph input, yes, and let's go out from the LFO. Open the attenuverter. Maybe the timbre as well. And let's just do it as with the other ones. Let's add a delay and a reverb. So let me add Chronoblob here. So instead of going out from here, we are going to go out from Chronoblob. Let's sync it with the clock. As you remember from the beginning of the video, it's the T2 output of marbles. And let's make this stereo as well. And we're going to go in here. Oh, that's the LFO output. I changed the delay mode. I changed the left and right delay times. And now just play around with the levels here. Yeah, and that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned about another ADSR envelope generator. For now, this is it about envelopes. I might make some patches with them, you know, some basic patches, some basic sounds like kick drums and snare drums and hi-hats, because they are very useful for that, for creating instruments, and also some more ambient patches in the future, so we can practice it some more. But for now, I'm going to start working on the LFO video. We have already seen one LFO, Tides, and we'll learn about some more. So stay tuned, subscribe, and see you in the next one. Peace.